Welcome to my world history notes where I read from the book I wrote to teach homeschoolers. A Bible Believer looks at world history, which you can see on lulu.com, amazon.com, or at the Bible Baptist bookstore. Just follow me here. So, we're talking about some Greek city states before we move on to the rest of the world. Very important that we get the whole world involved in world history. So, I'm going to start. And with regard to Athens, after King Codrus died fighting the Dorian invasion, legend tells us that the office of king was replaced with an archon who ruled for life. In 752, they changed that rule to 10 years, and then in 683 to 1 year. Eventually, the rule was split among nine archons: Eponymous, whose name was given to the year in order to date events; Basilius, who carried the name of king but was the head of state religion, as in other ancient nations where the king and high priest were one and the same; and Polemarchus, military commander; six Thesmothetai, or Letai, or legislators, lawmakers. This was Athens under what is called an oligarchy, a state governed by a few persons. It is worthy of note that the term king, even though reduced to a priestly function, remained a part of Athens until the end of its history. The social classes of Athens in this period consisted of eupatrids, or the wealthy owning elite; hippes, the knights or those who owned horses and could fight as cavalry; zeugatai, those who owned a yoke of oxen and could fight as hoplites or heavily armored infantry; and thetes, hired laborers who could fight as light infantry. In 594, a man named Solon was elected to the office of Eponymous, and created a change in Athenian government by canceling all debts, both public and private. All persons enslaved because of debt were released. He freed all persons accused of political crimes. He went on to repeal all of the legislation of the 7th century lawmaker Draco, which were so tough and harsh, we get our term draconian from them. The word ecclesia, from which we get our word church for a called out assembly, which had been in use in Homer's time, was revived, and all citizens were invited to participate. After the dictator who followed Solon, Paris, Paius, Stratus, died, a movement toward democracy in Athens began, which is considered to be the foundation of modern democracy. As stated before, Greek merchants and mercenaries settled around the Mediterranean, and Greek philosophy, spoken of in Acts as Paul disputes in Athens, spread with it. The names of philosophers and scientists and some of their achievements will be related in a timeline a little bit later. First, we're going to, for the sake of time, move on to Macedon in the north. Macedon, which had been founded in the 7th or 8th century BC, grew in power under Philip II of Macedon, 359 BC to 336 BC, and conquered its neighbors. Alexander, 336 BC to 323 BC, known as Alexander the Great in history, carried this expansion onward to conquer the Persian Empire and Egypt, where he had himself declared the Son of God. Those were their dates of their reigns, not their lives. He spread the Greek language, culture, and religion as far east as did the former merchants and mercenaries, west and south. He died after a drinking bout as a result of poisoning, perhaps, or of a disease, or a combination thereof, at the age of 33 or thereabouts, and is a great type of Antichrist in history, mentioned as the Prince of Grecia in Bible prophecy, Daniel 10:20. After his death, his empire was divided between his four generals, whose heirs, called the Diadochi, ruled this vast area in varying degrees until much of it was taken by Rome. This was the Hellenistic period of ancient Near Eastern history, with Greek influence all the way to Western India. The word Hellene for the Greeks is derived from their earliest names, if you'll note what I said earlier about Greek history. Alexander was said, according to legend, to have been the offspring of Zeus and his mother, his conception being witnessed secretly by his father, Philip II. Glorification by historians aside, he was, from a biblical perspective, an evil, immoral tyrant. If you are interested in studying Alexander, I would recommend Theodore Dodge's Alexander rather than some ignorant movie, which is apparently how most modern people get their history. Now, to wrap things up for Greece, we're going to review a brief timeline next time, and then we're going to jump on to India, Africa, and different places like that. So I hope you'll stick with me and take a look at this next time. Thank you.